you could make some really costly mistakes. And it's not like you can just get in a plan and jump out of a plan. I mean, you can get in a plan and jump out, but most of the plans are a 12-month commitment most of the time. So you want to make sure if you're going to make a commitment like that, especially once you're on a fixed income,
right,
you want to make sure that the plan financially makes sense.
Hi everyone, this is Pro Women Today, presented by World Professional Women's Club in St. Louis. I'm June Matoba, your host, and today I'm with a great friend of mine and a Medicare expert with St. Louis Insurance Group, Chiffon Thomas. How are you, Chiffon?
I'm well, June. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
Thank you for joining us here on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So Chiffon has been in the Medicare industry for 13 years. And she's licensed in Missouri and Illinois.
Correct.
And I have a lot of questions about Medicare today.
Good.
Yeah, so let's dive into it.
Let's go.
So my first and biggest question, what is Medicare exactly? Because I know that when I get paid, I am paying for it.
Yes.
And I know something about Medicare that is for when people reach 65 years old or something?
Primarily, yes.
Okay. And, but that's pretty much the knowledge I have.
All right. So Medicare is actually a federal program that offers health insurance for American citizens and other eligible individuals. The program is often called Original Medicare, and Original Medicare is comprised of Parts A and B. You can, if you are a U.S. citizen and have been in the U.S. for at least 5 years in a row, you can apply for Medicare as well. So there are requirements, so to speak, one of which is, as you just mentioned, you're paying Social Security tax.
Okay.
So as long as you pay your Social Security tax for 10 years, or what they usually say 40 quarters, you qualify to get Original Medicare. If you don't have at least 10 years of working history or that 40 quarters, Medicare could come at an additional cost, but you can pay for it if you need to.
So they will be eligible, but they'll have to pay more.
Well, if they don't have the required 40 quarters, they would pay for Part A, or if they don't have the required 40 quarters. If they have the required 40 quarters or 10 years, Part A doesn't cost anything because that's what your taxes are paying for. So a lot of people think that Medicare is free, or that it doesn't cost anything. That was
my understanding
because you're paying into the Social Security. But Medicare, I usually liken it to a slice of Swiss cheese. There's small holes and then there's large holes in Swiss cheese, and those holes represent what you could be responsible for paying for. So there's co-pays, co-insurances, deductibles, and all kinds of fees that are associated with just Original Medicare.
Oh, so it's just like other health insurance. We still need to talk about deductibles and premiums?
Absolutely.
I thought it would get a little easier after 65.
Well, it doesn't cost nearly as much as what some people are probably paying for insurance now, especially if people retire before the age of 65. COBRA can be anywhere from $600 to $800 a month.
Right.
So it doesn't necessarily cost that much, but there are costs associated with Medicare, which is why most people get a Medicare Advantage plan, which is a Part C plan, or they get a Medicare Supplement plan. So there are costs associated, and those plans or supplement insurances help mitigate some of the costs that you can experience with just Original Medicare.
Okay. All right. That got me more questions. But before that, so those 40 quarters?
40 quarters, 10 years. You have to pay into social.
Does it have to be consecutive?
I don't believe it has to be consecutive as long as there's 40 quarters. People who are usually stay-at-home moms usually don't get Original Medicare if they didn't have any work history and they were, rearing their children and that's all they did for a living.
Right.
But then if their spouse pays into Social Security, if their spouse passes, unfortunately, before they do, they would then become eligible for Medicare benefits under their spouse's Medicare, if that makes sense. Okay. So unfortunately, if you're a stay-at-home mom, which I know a lot of women are, you have to wait until your spouse passes away in order to get the benefits.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But then, so that means, say, if a woman was working before they had a child and then stopped working for a while and then come back to work, so total of 10 years or 40 quarters.
Yes.
That would
40 quarters is all you need to qualify for Part A, where it doesn't cost anything, but there's other costs associated with like Part B and all of that stuff. So in order to get Part A at no cost, you have to have the 10 years or the 40 quarters in order to qualify for that. If you don't have it, then you could be subjected to a premium for Part A if you didn't qualify for the 40 quarters.
Okay. Well, before discuss anything, let's talk about this A, B, C. What are these letters?
Okay, so Part A covers your hospitalizations. Hospital, it covers hospice care, it covers skilled nursing facilities. So that's what Part A covers. It's usually no cost, again, if you have the requirements of 40 quarters or 10 years. Part B covers all of your doctor, outpatient, labs, MRIs, things of that nature. And that does usually come with a premium. There are ways to have the premium paid for by the state if you qualify for what's called Medicaid, which is state funded in health insurance. So if you qualify for that, you can get your Part B premium. Part B premium is based off of income. So a majority of the people pay the normal premium, but if your income is higher, then you're subjected to pay higher premiums for your Part B. Part C is a Medicare Advantage plan. So it's like a managed health care system. It's similar to HMOs and PPOs, which is very similar to the kinds of insurance that you're used to while you're working. You have the HMO and PPO choices. They give you original Medicare-like benefits, but then they usually throw in additional benefits such as dental, vision, hearing, gym memberships. Original Medicare does not cover any of that.
No dental, no vision?
No, original Medicare is just hospitalization and medical. That's all it is. If you want any additional benefits, it's a la carte. You have to pay for it.
Okay.
And then Part D is there's A, B, C, and D. Okay. So Part D is going to be your prescription coverage. So, and that usually comes with a premium. Now, Part B and Part D, if you don't sign up when you're eligible and if you don't have credible coverage, you could be penalized if you don't pick it up. An example I usually like to use for that is, let's just say you turn 65, you're retired, you're healthy as a horse, you're not taking any medications. So you're like, I don't need to sign up for a Part D because I'm not taking any medications. Right. But 2 years down the line, you start to develop some hiccups, maybe high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and now you have to take medication for that, and you try to sign up for a Part D plan, you're going to be penalized because you didn't pick it up when you were eligible for. Oh, wow. And that penalty is a lifetime penalty. So it's not a penalty that you pay once. It's lifetime. It's not a huge penalty, but it's a penalty nonetheless. Now, if you continue to work past 65 and you have credible coverage, meaning you have a full-time employer and they offer you health insurance, you don't need to necessarily pick up Part B or Part D. You can wait until you actually retire and not be penalized for it. So,
And what do you mean by penalty?
So it's they're different penalties, and the government doesn't tell you. You don't have to sign up for it if you don't want to, but if you don't sign up for it, they penalize you. It's a penalty that they impose for every month that you go beyond when you were eligible, and it's a permanent penalty. And the government takes it out of you when you retire and get your Social Security check. They're going to take it out regardless.
Oh, okay.
They're going to send you a letter and be like, okay, when you signed up for Part B or your Part D now, after 2 years and you were eligible 2 years ago, this is the penalty that you were assessed. This is what we're taking out of your check.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it's good to know all these things before you actually turn 65, or it's even close to it.
Yes.
Right.
Most people most people usually start getting information a year to 7 months out prior to, because you can sign up for a plan 3 months before your 65th birthday month, and then 3 months after your 65th birthday month.
Oh, okay.
If you retire, if you're continuing to work, you have a little bit of leeway. As long as you have credible coverage.
Right.
And that's the key word, credible coverage.
So can someone have Medicare and then still have private insurance? I know it's going to cost huge, but just hypothetically.
Hypothetically, yes. So original Medicare is funded or is channeled through the federal government. Private insurance companies like your United Healthcares, your Humanas, your Aetnas, those are administered through private insurance companies. So usually what happens, most people have their original Medicare, which is their primary care insurance, and then they pick up a supplement, which is usually offered by private insurance companies. And some of them cost and some of them don't cost.
Oh, okay.
But it's just kind of like you're going to pay for it either way. So you're going to pay for it up front, or you're going to pay for it on the back end. It's just one of the things that I do when I sit down with people is I look at their economic situation, I look at their doctors, and then I look at their prescriptions, and we come up with a plan that is unique to that one person, because everybody's health is different, everybody's financial situation is different. So you and your husband, for example, if you guys were the same age, or even if you're 2 years apart, he goes on a plan, he might want this, that, and this. So his plan might be completely different from yours because your health situation could be completely different.
Right.
So I always try to urge people not to get into a Medicare plan based off of their spouse, their siblings, their best friends. Don't let people tell you, oh, I have this plan and it's absolutely great for me, because their health situation may not be similar.
Right. So this is why it's important to talk to agents, right? Because I see commercial, and then it sounds like you can just sign up online or something.
You can sign up online, but when you do that, if you're not shopping, you don't input all of your information, you could run into a situation where you're in a plan, and let's just say I had one client that had rheumatoid arthritis, and rheumatoid arthritis is extremely expensive. So if she would have gotten into the wrong plan and she tried to get her prescription filled, it could have cost her thousands of dollars.
Right.
So without shopping around for plans, how do you know who's charging the lowest price? Because all of the insurance companies offer very similar services and plan structures, but where they're different is how much they can charge for the services and the structure. So company A, for example, for that rheumatoid arthritis medication, they might charge $1,000 to get it filled, and then company B could charge $5,000 to get it filled. So sometimes it can be that drastic of a swing, which is why. And I urge people to talk to brokers and not agents, because as a broker, I represent all of the companies, and I'm going to do my due diligence to make sure that I'm putting you in the right plan. With an agent that's captive with one company, they're going to try to put you in that plan regardless if it's the best situation for you, because that's all they can offer.
That's a good point. Broker and agent.
Yes.
Is different. So broker can shop around.
Mhm.
But agent is kind of tied to one plan.
Yes, an
Okay.
agent is usually captive and works for that one company, and then their choices for you are limited. They may be able to go between an HMO and a PPO and a regional PPO or something like that. But if they only have three choices, they're going to try to put you in one of those three choices, whether it's beneficial for you or not,
Right.
because they get paid for it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
As a broker, because I represent over 8 carriers, I put all of the information into a spreadsheet, if you will, and I compare at least 2 to 3 options, and then I bring that to you and say, these are what your prescriptions are going to cost it with this plan, and this is what it's going to cost at this plan. So sometimes a couple $100, yeah, not that big of a difference, but sometimes it could be tens of thousands of dollars difference, which is why it's important to at least sit down and talk to someone, preferably a broker.
Right. Well, it's good to know all these things, because in my mind it's just Medicare is just one plan. You can just sign up easy or something, but sounds like very
well, you can sign up easy for Medicare, but it's just when you start getting your supplements where it can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So before I want to know more about the eligibility, just a quick question. So this Medicare does it have like a in-network, out-of-network stuff, like things like regular private health insurance?
With original Medicare, it's pretty much nationwide.
Okay.
So as long as you go to a doctor or hospital that accepts original Medicare, you can, Southwest, you're free to move around the country. Ding! So with original Medicare, yes. When you start getting into some of the private, there could be some restrictions. You have some that are HMOs that require you to be in a network. But there's some carriers that are nationally known that have a network that is national as well.
Okay.
So you're able to travel between states with a national HMO carrier. A PPO obviously gives you a little bit more flexibility where you can be in network or out of network, but if you're out of network, you pay higher costs for services, if you will. A Medicare supplement plan, which is also offered by a private insurance company, works with original Medicare, and as long as you have a doctor or hospital that is Medicare approved or takes Medicare, you can go see any doctor anywhere in or out of network. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility. So there's Medicare supplement with original Medicare as an option, and then there's the other option, which is your Part C plan, which has the HMOs and the PPOs.
I would definitely talk to a professional when I'm 65. Sounds like many choices.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, so imagine this situation. Say, so my parents are in Japan right now, and then I decided to invite them to live with me, and they're older than 65. Will they be qualified after living here for 5 years?
Yes, but again, there could be some costs associated with it. But yes, continuous 5 years. Yes.
And what would be their choices if, like, within the first 5 years?
So within the first 5 years, they would have to go through the marketplace. They would have to go through COBRA. There are other means to be able to get, or they could go through the Medicaid system, because Medicaid is health care insurance also for people who qualify for that. So there's options available. They may not be as they may cost a little bit more, because COBRA is stupid expensive. I don't care whatever age you are. COBRA is stupid expensive. So obviously, if your health is not the best, and then if you're older, it's kind of like life insurance. You're going to pay more for it, because the chances of your demise as we get older, so to speak, are inevitable.
Right.
So they're going to charge you more for premiums and services, possibly, based off of that. So some companies or places do charge by age because our demise is inevitable.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. And then when you say marketplace, does that mean Obamacare?
So Obamacare marketplace, there's all of the private insurance carriers. Some of them do regular health insurance, individuals and families. So you have a little bit more choice, if you will, when you're under 65, because there's so many different avenues. Or when you're not eligible for Medicare, there's so many different avenues for you to get health insurance, right? But when you turn 65, the Medicare system was designed specifically for that market, which is why, like, you have a lot of employers that when you turn 65, if they're not larger employers, they're going to say, we know you have Medicare, you're going to get insurance.
Right.
We're not going to offer you insurance, if you continue to work past 65, because they know Medicare is there. It's like your default. So 65, if you've got the requirements, they know that you're automatically going to get it.
Right. Okay. No, Medicare, in my mind, I still have like 20 years to go, and I didn't think I needed to know, but I realized, like, my parents' age or my friends' parents' age, my in-laws, they're Medicare age, so it's really good to know all these things, and it doesn't sound like it's easy, so it's, you gotta talk to professionals.
Yeah, it can be really, really complicated, especially if you're not doing your due diligence. I mean, I get some people want to do it on their own, but if you're going to do it on your own, like, do everything. Put your prescriptions in, put your doctors in, find out if the plan makes sense for you. You could make some really costly mistakes, and it's not like you can just get in a plan and jump out of you can get in a plan and jump out, but most of the plans are a 12-month commitment most of the time. So you want to make sure, if you're going to make a commitment like that, especially once you're on a fixed income,
right,
you want to make sure that the plan financially makes sense.
And it doesn't cost to talk to a professional, correct?
I do not charge for my services.
Yeah.
I get paid from the companies that I enroll people in, and that's where my compensation comes. And then I become that person's agent. I call every year to review medications to see if there's a plan that now makes a little bit more sense. I'm here to make sure that you are aware of all of your options, whether or not you want to make a change or not. I'm here to make sure that you're aware that there are options, which is why every October 15th through December the 7th, people see so many Medicare commercials on the right, television, or you're getting all these calls, or you're receiving all this mail, because these companies, especially the private companies, they renegotiate their plan benefits and structures every single year. So one year your medication might be covered with the plan that you're on, and the next year they could change their formulary and say, you know what, we're going to take it off. So being content with the same plan year after year after year after year, especially if your health if your health changes even slightly, it's beneficial to do a review to make sure that the plan is still cost effective for you.
Okay, it's good to know.
Yes.
And Chiffon here is actually she's multi-talented. So she's also an insurance educator for auto insurance and home insurance
with American Family. Yes.
Yeah, and then she is also starting a new business. Do you want to tell us a little bit?
So yes, I am embarking on starting a wine tasting business. I have become a wine lover over the past maybe 7 to 10 years. And and the exploration of wine is so intriguing and interesting to me that I wanted to bring that joy of exploration to other people. So I'm in the process of starting the Little Wine Nook, which is hopefully going to turn into this mobile wine truck. Right now it's not mobile. Well, it's mobile, but there's no truck. So yeah, I'm kind of excited about people's exploration through wine, because there's so much wine out there and it's all different. Like
right.
It's even the same varietal, there's so many different notes and variations, and I just love exploring it.
Awesome. We're gonna have to have another episode for that. All right, this last a few minutes of our interview, we would like to go a little more personal.
Okay.
And want to be a little playful.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and except for the first one is a little you can elaborate as much as you want, but please answer with one word or one phrase.
Okay.
And these are fun questions, so don't think too much.
Okay.
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 Ready?
I'm ready.
First question: were you born and raised in St. Louis?
No, I was actually born in Providence, Rhode Island. You know, that little bitty state of east that's only 50 miles long. I was born there, stayed there for the first 6 years, moved from Rhode Island to Connecticut. So I'm still call that home.
Okay.
Try to go every other year, but yeah, Rhode Island is my birthplace.
Yeah, you're the first person I met.
I'm usually most people's first person.
Alright, then quick questions. Texting or calling?
Texting.
Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Every language in the world.
Okay, this might be difficult for you. Red wine or white wine?
I actually am a red wine drinker.
Oh, okay.
I prefer red wines over white wines. They're a little bit more complex to me, so yeah, I like the red.
About more. All right, last question. What is the top place you want to travel to?
Italy, wine capital country.
Nice.
So Italy is definitely on my bucket list. I'm hoping to travel there in 2 years.
Awesome.
So
great.
yeah, just so I can eat and taste my way through Italy.
Awesome. Sounds like a good plan to me too. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And this was Chiffon Thomas, and we had a great discussion about Medicare, fun questions. Any last word?
No, just thank you so much for the platform, the opportunity. I love what you guys are doing with the organization. It's a good way for us to get to know people, you know, without getting to know people,
right?
And so to speak,
yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good little snippet of information into what our members do. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And if you have more questions about Medicare, insurance, or wine,
Yes.
yeah, please talk to Chiffon, and we will see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.